And when we shot that, I thought, wow, yeah, we made something that really touches something deep in people and something in a place they don't know yet.
Hi.
Hi. Can I tell you something?
Sure. Anything you like.
It's kind of long.
I got plenty of time.
When we shot that, I knew we touched something that a lot of people were going to be moved by, and that was unique and something that people hadn't seen in a movie. This dialogue between a man and a woman through a mirror, so he can see her, but she can't see him. And there was a mythical quality about it, and she played that character so beautifully, and then finally revealing her own side of the story and taking her time and making sure that he understood her point of view.
I knew these people.
What people?
These two people. They were in love with each other. He couldn't stand being away from her during the day when he went to work. So he'd quit just to be home with her. Then he'd get another job when the money ran out. And then he'd quit again. But pretty soon she started to worry.
About what?
Money, I guess. Not having enough. Not knowing when the next check was coming in.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
I mean, Harry Dean Stanton, God bless his soul, he was an actor like there was no other actor. When Harry Dean made this film, he was in his late 50s, and this was the first lead part he played in his life. And it is a unique character, somebody who stumbles out of the desert and doesn't speak, but is determined to find something. Nobody knows what he wants to find until we realize it's his family. So he's a unique character, and in a strange way, I can imagine easy to identify with, especially today where loneliness is a different topic than 40 years ago. And not talking and being so much in his own mind, I think people relate to it today in a different way.
You'd yell at her and break things in the trailer.
The trailer.
Yes. They lived in a trailer home.
Anastasia Kinski was such a great actress at her time, and she was at her peak in the mid-80s. Her part is extremely emotional. I mean, look at her main scene, which is a 20-minute scene almost without any cut, and she pulled it off. And you forget that there's no cut. You're just eager to continue listening to her story.
Anyway, he started to drink real bad, and he'd stay out late to test her.
What do you mean, tester?
To see if she'd get jealous. He wanted her to get jealous, but she didn't. She just worried about him, but that got him even madder.
Why?
Because he thought if she never got jealous of him, that she didn't really care about him. Jealousy was a sign of her love for him. And then one night, she told him that she was pregnant. She was about 3 or 4 months pregnant, and he didn't even know. then suddenly everything changed. He stopped drinking and got a steady job. He was convinced that she loved him now because he was carrying his child. And he was going to dedicate himself to making a home for her. But a funny thing started to happen.
What?
He didn't even notice it at first. She started to change.
We didn't have that ending for the longest time. Sam Shepard and I had only written half the script because Sam was supposed to be traveling with me and he would live the story with me. We shot the whole film in chronological order. That's one of the secrets of Paris, Texas. It was done in chronological order. The actors could really live the whole story. But we didn't have the end of the story because Sam was going to live it with me, and then the two of us would find out what the story, where it was really leading to, what end was necessarily going to be the best possible end. But we didn't have that, and Sam was no longer available because he fell madly in love with Jessica Lange. And instead of traveling with me as a writer, he made a movie with Jessica, and I no longer had the writer by my side, and I had half a script, and it led into the unknown. And finally, when I ran out of script, I had to interrupt the entire shoot and had to come up with an ending. And luckily, I remembered that in the preparation for the film, we had seen lots of places in Texas, and I had seen one place that had really shocked me, and it was the first Peep Show I'd ever seen in my life. I'd never put a foot into a Peep Show, and this was an abandoned Peep Show. It was in Fort Worth, and we only went to bloody Fort Worth because Janis Joplin went to high school there, and I wanted to see that town that she grew up. And we found that abandoned Peep Show. And it left a big impression on me, but I didn't have a place for it in the story, so I forgot about it. And when I was sitting there much later trying to ruin my brain, how can I end this movie? This Peep Show came into my mind, and it all clicked, and I thought, that's where we find her. And of course, it's not a Peep Show in a regular sense. We invented these little booths where men can talk to these women, and women can be looked at, but cannot be touched. It's a Peep Show, and they don't undress, they just listen to these men. It's sort of a psychotherapy Peep Show. So Sam liked the idea, and then Sam wrote the ending for the Peep Show.
From the day the baby was born, she began to get irritated with everything around her. She got mad at everything. Even the baby seemed to be an injustice to her. He kept trying to make everything all right for her. Buy her things, take her out to dinner once a week. But nothing seemed to satisfy her. For 2 years, he struggled to pull them back together like they were when they first met. But finally, he knew that it was never going to work out. So he hit the bottle again. But this time it got mean. This time when he came home late at night, she wasn't worried about him or jealous. She was just enraged. She accused him of holding her captive by making her have a baby. She told him that she dreamed about escaping. That was all she dreamed about, escape. She saw herself at night running naked down a highway, running across fields, running down riverbeds, always running. And always just when she was about to get away, he'd be there. He would stop her somehow. He would just appear and stop her.
When I told it to Robbie, my DOP, he loved it. And he said, you know, we could do this for real, because I had thought we'd fake it. So when we shoot in her room, we put a mirror and she only sees herself. But really, they could see each other. And Robbie said, no, Wim, it would be so much better for the actors if it was for real. And I said, well, how can we do it? Well, he said there is mirrors where you can see from one side and not from the other. And they're very expensive. and you can shoot through them. And then we made the biggest expense of the entire film was buying that mirror. It was a lot of money. It was $20,000 or something. We had to treat it like a raw egg because nothing could happen to that mirror because it would ruin the film if you couldn't continue shooting with it. And we did shoot in a way that Anastasia did not see Harry Dean, and Harry Dean could watch her, and Harry Dean could watch her, and it made the big difference. The actors were so much in the part because she really spoke to her image and not into his face. And maybe that too is sort of explains why the film still has that attraction, because a lot of people on the internet, they speak to themselves. They speak to their own image. They speak to a monitor, to I don't know how many people, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of thousands, but they see themselves. It's about their own image they're sending into the world. So in a strange way, the Peep Show we shot in anticipated that situation.
And when she told him these dreams, he believed them. He knew she had to be stopped or she'd leave him forever. So he tied a cowbell to her ankle so he could hear at night if she tried to get out of bed. But she learned how to muffle the bell by stuffing a sock into it and inching her way out of the bed and into the night. He caught her one night when the sock fell out and he heard her trying to run to the highway. He caught her, dragged her back to the trailer and tied her to the stove with his belt. He just left her there and went back to bed and lay there listening to her scream. Then he listened to his son scream. And he was surprised at himself because he didn't feel anything anymore.
Travis knew when he had to leave, and leaving was almost a heroic act on behalf of his character, Travis. He knew that it would be better for the lives of his son and his former wife if they could live their life together without him. He knew he was going to fuck it up again. So it was a tough ending, but it was in a way for me still a happy ending because we know he has settled the life for his son and he settled the love of his life of Jane, and these two were going to be happy. And he did what he had to do. So I thought it was a good ending. And then we sold the film to the American studio. At the time it was 20th Century Fox or something. And after a while they called me and said, Wim, we want to talk to you. And I went there and I thought they were going to talk about the distribution and how they're going to release it. No, they asked me if I could change the ending. They asked me if I could change the ending, and they realized I wasn't going to change the ending and go back and shoot something with the actors. They said, it's going to be so easy, Wim. All we want you to do is shoot the car on the freeway making a U-turn. And that will be the last shot of the film. Let him make a U-turn, and then everybody will know it's going to be okay. And I said, not on my dead body will I shoot a U-turn. The whole thing of the movie was that he made a great decision and that he made a selfless decision. And that is a heroic act, and making a U-turn, it's cowardice.
He ran until the sun came up, and he couldn't run any further. And when the sun went down, he ran again. For 5 days he ran like this, until every sign of man had disappeared.
Travis.
No, I will never make a U-turn, even if you don't release the film because you think it's going to be a failure. I will not have him make a U-turn. And that was the end of any big distribution plans in America. It came out half-heartedly. They didn't support Harry for the chance he would have had at an Oscar. Not a single ad. Harry was in tears when he found out that they didn't really make this a slightest effort for him, because the whole community would have voted for Harry because everybody loved Harry. And everybody was so happy that he finally, at the end of his career, had a lead part and that he was so good in it. And Harry knew that. But as they didn't even put in an application for it. So, and that's because I refused to shoot the U-turn. And Harry too, he said, "Wim, you damn idiot. That stupid shot would have cost you one day. Just a white shot. I wouldn't even have to drive the car. You could have done it with somebody else. What an idiot you are." Well, but I'm happy that I didn't do it.
Well, he needs you now, Jane. And he wants to see you.
He does?
Yes. He's waiting for you.
Where?
Downtown. In a hotel. The Meridian. Room 1520.
You're not going, are you?
I can't see you, Jane.
Don't go yet.